All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. If you're watching on Friday or Saturday, hope you have a great weekend ahead. We are talking some fights noon Eastern on Saturday. So if you want to have some plans Saturday night, not miss any fights, you are able to do so. We are in Abu Dhabi. 13 fights, a lot of big favorites. I'm trying to refresh this or have it come through. It has not yet, but Big Marley did change Ankalaev and Guskov to a 4-star, and that will make no 5-star fights for Big Marley on this card. That means usually pretty spread out. I do think ownership will be spread out. I don't think it's a card to leave too much money on the table, though, as I don't see too many dogs barking. We'll see how Big Marley sees it, though. Excited to talk some fights. How we doing today?
Yeah, doing good. I think you said starts at noon Eastern, but it starts at 9 Eastern. So even earlier.
9 Eastern. Oh, gosh. So it's 6 at my time. What was I? Yeah, I'm tweaking, actually, because I did see. All right, 9 a.m. Eastern. I apologize. Completely different. Any thoughts on this card? Anything from last week? Anything you want to talk about before we dive in?
Nah, I think this card's tough, man. I think it's also even going to be tougher for the casual fan because they're going to come into this and not know who half of these fighters even are. So I do think that's going to be a plus for us. But it's also just such a high variance card, I think, where there's a lot of things that could go wrong, a lot of things that could go right. I think you could leave a lot of salary on the table if you wanted to, but I also don't think that ownership's going to be too condensed where you really even need to do that. So I think it's a card to look forward to as long as we keep all these fights. And hopefully it's a good one.
Yeah, so you see it a little different already. You're going to, sounds like, leave a little more salary than I am. Upper tier, there's a lot of high-priced fighters that probably are going to score over 100, but again, we talk about it a lot, 9,800, 9,700. You not only have to do a lot, dogs have to win. The other upper tier doesn't have to do as great. This is plus 140 to finish. This just came out recently, this line. So that makes 10 of the 13 fights this week expected to finish, or at least a coin flip or better to finish, which is definitely good for this card. Again, a lot of big favorites in the 9Ks because, as you see, minus 550, minus 950, minus 288, 325, 400, 800. We have plenty of big favorites littered throughout the card. So we'll go through fight by fight like always. We got Marquis in here. I think you said it best. Not my favorite MMA slate either. With that being said, there is 13 fights. Just picking the dogs or picking which big dog comes through is a little tough. YSN's in here. Sight so close last week, going for gold this time. Good luck. Nate D as well. Always appreciate you guys hanging out. Like button, subscribe button, all we ask for. And before we start, want to give a shout out to Matt K, Kenny, and Ricardo. Everybody in the Shipping Nation Discord moved on last week to the MMA Championship. So 15 of you guys are going to Philadelphia, and they'll put you up in the suite. I know, I'm sorry, Big Marley, a little bittersweet, but shout out to our Discord members over there getting the job done, heading to Philadelphia for MMA Live Final. Anything, Big Marley? Otherwise, I'm going to start with the first fight of the night.
No, I made a couple other changes, so we'll see if it refreshes or not, but I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just tweaking. Oh, okay. There we go. Did the other changes come through?
No, I got another one. I got some names switched up, so I moved a 3 to a 4 and a 4 to a 3, but it'll
right.
get up. We'll get to it.
Sounds good. We're going to start first fight of the night. A big favorite, Abdul. Hussein, minus 550, taking on Cody Gibson, plus 400. Minus 215 for this fight to finish. Hussein, minus 210 inside the distance. Gibson, plus 900. Hussein in round one, plus 175. Good, a lot of line movement on the Hussein inside the distance prop. Open minus 140, now minus 210. Yeah, that's very, very noticeable. Cody Gibson, 38 years old, as you can see on the stone. Will have a height and reach advantage in this one. But, yeah, I think Hussein probably gets us to the mat and dominates from there. How do you see it?
Yeah, I kind of agree. He is 10 years younger than Gibson. He looks like he could be the real deal. Gibson really didn't show me much in his last couple fights, but he is an aggressive starter. He'll look for takedowns early and often. I think that could really work against him in this one. If he gets a takedown, I think he could get submitted even if he's in top control. So I think it's after round one, it's all Hussein, but it also could be Hussein in round one as well. I think he's just a better fighter everywhere. I will pick him to get a submission, but it wouldn't shock me to see him get a knockout either. I think he's just better than Gibson everywhere at this point. And it's a fight I think the UFC wants him to win. So for me, it's going to be Hussein or pass. 9,300 I'm totally fine with, but I'm also fine paying up for other guys, and I'm fine paying down for others as well. So I'm probably going to be right around the field, if not a little bit overweight on Hussein.
Yeah, I ideally kind of want to be a little overweight as well. Like, again, the upper tier is loaded, but Ankalaev's 200 more. Dulatov is 500 more. Zaynikov's only 100 less. Sam Patterson's 100 more. Tuchalov 400 more. So, I mean, there's a lot of good ones, but a lot of them are more expensive, especially when you're looking at the inside the distance prop for Hussein. It's one of the best point per dollar on the card. So I think Hussein's a very strong play to start it off. Some takedown upside. I don't like Cody Gibson much, but I will say I like Cody Gibson more than everyone priced below him. So maybe that leaves him in play for me. Cap him at 15%, 10% something, but I don't love it. I do also want to note from the top, I'm going to butcher plenty of these names. A lot of OVs and AEVs and stuff like that to finish. So, yeah, I butchered names anyway. You guys are used to that. We're going bottom to top, so you know which fights we're talking about, which fighters we're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't even said a lot of these names out loud yet, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I have to go first, unfortunately. What's up, Mateus? Good to see you. Next fight on the card, Nurullo Alvia. Hold on.
Aliev.
Nurullo Aliev taking on Mike Davis. Aliev minus 220. Mike Davis plus 185. That was one I didn't know and that I should have got right. So this is really going to be bad. Plus 150 for this fight to finish, which right now is the most likely on the card to go the distance. Davis, the underdog, better inside the distance prop by a little, plus 300. Aliev plus 325. Both are plus 650 in round one. So a mid-tier fight. You can see on the stone, both average over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes. This is the most likely fight to go the distance on the card, though. Let me see. Yeah, it opened minus 105 to finish, now plus 150. So that's quite a bit of line movement on the over. How do you see it?
Yeah, I don't really care for this fight too much, but I do prefer the underdog. Aliev is just the better grappler, better wrestler, but he's not a high enough pace guy for me to feel good about him scoring well unless he's able to land multiple takedowns in each round or get a finish, and I just don't feel good about either of those. Mike Davis, on the other hand, really good athlete. I think he's a more powerful, better all-around striker, period, but he has offensive wrestling in his game. I don't know if he can really use that as a defense to keep Aliev off of him, but if he can, then I think Davis can win this fight on the feet and maybe even knock him out for some sneaky high ceiling value. So I do prefer Davis in this one, but I posted this in Discord earlier. Fighters that last name ends in V in the last 7 Abu Dhabi cards are 25, 1, and 1. So that makes me feel not as good about my Davis pick in this one. And it was kind of me searching for underdogs on a card. Don't feel great about it, but I am a believer in Davis as an athlete overall. And he's still only 33 years old. So I'm not going to give up on him yet.
Yeah, I mean, man, I like Mike Davis a lot. His not really this week. This week he's fine. I agree with a lot of what you said, but like his Mason Jones fight back in the day, a couple of years ago, was absolutely phenomenal. But man, since then was not great against Faraziem. I'm still a believer in Ziem. I know he lost last fight, really disappointed, but he still was taken down 4 times, controlled for half of that fight. And then even his Mitch Ramirez fight after, Ramirez was out striking him. It was pretty competitive, and Aliev is better than Mitch Ramirez. So I'm a little worried with Mike Davis. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, 33 years old, but we're playing a salary-based game on a card that I don't like many dogs, and he has the better finishing prop than the favorite for 800 more. So that does put me liking Davis more than Aliev quite a bit. Again, that 800 goes a long way. He's going to be a dog I mix in at 7,700. Even if he scores 75, 80 points this week at 7,700, I'm taking that. Obviously not guaranteed to be optimal, but I'm not sure how many dogs win on this card. I'm not picking too many, so... And yeah, very interesting stat. It's got to regress to the mean, you'd think a little bit, but obviously they're big favorites. But if you're parlaying and stuff like that, You've made a lot of money so far in the last Abu Dhabi appearances. I'm on Mike Davis in this one. Hope he gets the job done. But mainly, it's like you said, Aliev in his debut had 3 takedowns for like 10 minutes of control time, 11:51 actually, and he scored 91 DK points. I'm not sure that's enough at 8,500. He landed 19 significant strikes, so I really think Davis would have to continue to get back up, or Aliev would have to get a finish or something, and I just don't think that happens. So Davis or pass mainly for me. Let's go to the next fight on the card. Second highest price, Magomed Tuchalov minus 1,000, taking on Brendson Ribeiro plus 700, minus 800 for this fight to finish. Tuchalov minus 450 inside the distance. Ribeiro plus 600. Tuchalov in round 1 minus 175. Yeah, I mean, he's 9,700. That's the main talking point. Compare him to Duladov, who's 9,800. How much you think you're getting? What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, I have no idea. With the two of those, I feel like they're kind of the same. So I would imagine I get more Tuchalov just because he's $100 cheaper. I mean, he weighs more as well. Maybe he's got more power for that reason. I also think Ribeiro's more of a quitter than Turman. So I guess I side with Tuchalov, but he is only 6-0. So he is early in his career, but he is fighting in front of his home country, which is good. So it's a setup fight from the UFC for him to win in front of his fans. And I think he is the better, more powerful striker. I also think he's the better wrestler, but I'm going to pick him to win with a knockout. I just think it has to be early and maybe even a quick win bonus. I mean, at 97, I never like paying $97 and $9,800 period, but I think if I can get there, I'm fine with either one of them because I have them both winning in round 1. And I think Tuchalov could get a knockout on the feet or a ground and pound knockout, which could be nice as well. Yeah, I think he scores more than 100. I just don't know that I have enough underdogs to be able to get up to him, and I'm not going to be playing any Ribeiro. If Ribeiro wins, it's not going to be my night. I'll be turning the fights off early. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Tuchalov early in his career, but I just think he's better already.
Agree with everything you said. Glad I don't really have to elaborate much. I'm not playing Ribeiro. Tuchalov does score 100 plus. I do agree with that. Is it enough at 9,700? More than likely, I'll be hoping not. I probably will end up underweight to the 97, 9,800 guys. Because like Sam Patterson at 9,400 still could outscore Tuchalov in a vacuum. And if you play Patterson and leave the 300 and you're chalky in other spots, like that's your way to get different. So I think I'm more likely to do something like that. You'd be a fool, I think, if you're building 10 plus teams to X out Tuchalov, but 9,700 is too big of a price tag, I think, for me to get too overweight. What's up, Lone Wolf? Marquis, totally agree. 9,700 is a lot. Let's get to I'm really excited for this fight. I think this is one of the best fights of the night. Axel Sola, Ismael Bonfim, Sola minus 220, Bonfim plus 185. This fight is minus 160 to finish. Axel plus 125 inside the distance. Bonfim plus 285. Axel in round 1 plus 350. I want to say this line's moved quite a bit. A lot of these fights, the lines moved quite a bit. It opened minus 180, went down to minus 210, back up to the minus 180 range. Just stayed in that range for a decent amount, minus 180 to minus 200. And then this past day, Sola's taken a decent amount of money, opened up to minus 220. Man, that Mason Jones, I've mentioned him multiple times already, but Mason Jones, Axel Sola, phenomenal fight. So even though Sola's coming off a loss, his first pro loss, I think his stock rose in that fight. And the biggest difference between these two, all 6 of Bonfim's losses have come by finish. Sola, he'll fight for your dollar. He'll be aggressive. He's got that dog. And it feels like Bonfim folds when the pressure gets real tough. So I'm on Sola, but I will say minus 220. I put this up on Tuesday. It was minus 172. Now minus 220. That is a big that's a big price, I think. So like if I had to bet this fight, maybe Bonfim at this point. And I do like him for DFS. But for line movement for DFS, I think Sola is my preferred play, but that's 50 cents in a couple days. How do you see it?
I like the underdog in this one. Actually, Bonfim is probably my favorite underdog on the entire card. Sola, I think he is the better wrestler. He's going to have better cardio. He's got less quit in him as well. But Bonfim, I think he's getting a little bit too much taken off him from his last 2 losses. I do think he is a solid talent. I think he's the better boxer, really better overall striker. And he's got a grappling game early in himself if he wants to. I just don't trust him if the fight gets extended or if he has to face any adversity, really. But at $7,600, I'm not risking as much. So I'm totally fine being way overweight on Bonfim on this card. Also, when I was looking at the cards, I asked ChatGPT to handicap every fight, and they handicapped Bonfim minus 325, which blew my mind. I wouldn't have it anywhere near there. I think it should be closer to pick 'em, but it did make me like him a little bit more. But I couldn't agree with it at all. But man, Bonfim at $7,600 is going to be really hard for me to get away from. Sola definitely in play because you mentioned Bonfim. All his losses are finishes, so that should put Sola up to a good score. But there's a lot of favorites I want to get up to on this card, and I think it's going to put me on, like, if I'm making 10 lineups, I would imagine half of them are going to have Bonfim on this card. I'm not going to feel great about it, but I just don't feel great about this card in general. And I would rather take a Bonfim for $100 cheaper than Mike Davis, who I said I liked earlier.
That makes sense. I do agree with that as well. I prefer Bonfim to Mike Davis if choosing to. I just prefer this fight to that fight. But I do like Sola quite a bit at 8,600 as well. I'm going to be overweight this fight. Ideally, I could be overweight both guys. Hope it's high pace. Hope either Sola has success wrestling. Bonfim, he breaks him at some point, or Bonfim's just better, which, like I said, if I had to bet the fight right now, I do think the line's gotten too wide. So I do agree with you there. Minus 350. I don't know. Maybe ChatGPT needs an upgrade in the MMA streets, but yeah, we'll save that for another day.
Actually, it also gave me a pick'em line on Tuchalov and Ribeiro, so you can't really trust ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's all I need to hear. Holy cow! What's up, Rose Bowl? Great to see you. Yeah, he's the one that won 50,000 in the head-to-head championship a couple months back. Next fight on the card. Sam Patterson taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio. Patterson minus 500. Pons plus 375. Minus 325 for this fight to finish. Patterson minus 255 inside the distance. Pons plus 725. Patterson in round one. Open plus 160. Now it's minus 120 on BetOnline. I do want to say that BetOnline's minus 120, and I'm seeing plus 140 at quite a few other books. That's why you should always price shop. And I couldn't imagine giving up 60 cents betting a prop. But BetOnline does, in my opinion, is the sharpest for MMA. At least one of them puts out their lines early. So that's what I track. And plus 160 to minus 120 is a huge that's a huge line movement, especially for a round one prop. So I think Patterson's a very good play. When I wrote it up, it was minus 400 Patterson like we saw on Tuesday. And I just was like, I think this line's super light. I mean, minus 400 is usually – it is a big price tag, but I think he should be like minus 600, minus 700. I'm a big Patterson believer. I know the MVP fight was terrible. That's what MVP fights are, but he's good on the feet. He's good on the mat. Pons, he's 39 years old, 40 pro fights. I think he gets knocked out pretty brutally. Maybe a club and sub, maybe just takes him down, submits him, but I think he knocks him out. And I think at 9,400, he's going to be in check in terms of ownership, and I'm definitely going to be overweight and going to try to. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, Patterson is just the more well-rounded fighter. He's 9 years younger. I think he's the slicker striker, way better on the ground, but I would worry in a striking match against Ponzi. Ponzi's live for a knockout in this fight for sure, but I also think Ponzi could keep it close in a 15-minute striking match if Patterson's not going for any takedowns. So I think the line's a little bit too wide. I would not be betting Patterson at minus 400. And I actually think Ponzinibbio is the cheapest I'm looking to go on this card. I'm not going to play Guskov at $6,700 and a good amount of ownership. I would rather go up 100 more to Ponzinibbio at half of that ownership and take the same amount, in my opinion, first round knockout equity in Ponzinibbio. So I am okay getting some super cheap exposure to Ponzinibbio. But I think it would be a really easy fight if Patterson wants to mix in takedowns. I think he could get a submission in the first round if he wants. He is also live for a knockout because Ponzi is declining as well. But, man, I would just be a little bit nervous in a striking match if I'm laying 4-1 on a guy like Sam Patterson. But I do like that he scored almost 100 points in all of his wins. I think I moved this to a 4-star as well once I noticed that. 98, 101, 107, and 100. I mean, I'm absolutely cool with all of those at his price tag.
Ponzinibbio or Cody Gibson if you had to choose?
Ponzinibbio.
I'm on Gibson there. It's close though. But yeah, I mean, you're not even laying 4-1 on Patterson. Now you're laying 5-1. The market keeps running. So there are a lot of big favorites on this card. Getting who the right upper tier one is going to be tough. Yeah, like I said, it's not my favorite DFS card, and I believe it was Nate earlier today, like, is this a good card to like max or go like more of your bankroll than usual? I said no. Maybe that's just a personal thing because like I don't have the best read on it. I don't think, but in terms of ownership, amount of fights on the card, it's good that way. I just think where I struggle a little bit is it's hard for me to justify leaving like 400 plus, 500 plus on too many teams. And when you can do that a lot more easily or where it feels easier, usually that's when the mid tier's loaded or there's not as many big favorites. That's when I feel a little better about the card to get a little different combinations that way. Whereas I'm going to be zeroing out or leaving 100, 200 in most of my teams this week, which feels a little more difficult to get completely different. But 13 fights, probably no one above 50%, a fadeable main event. Definitely could be worse, no doubt about that. Dubai judges make this a little easier to predict any wins by decision. All right. Let's get to the next fight on the card again. Appreciate everyone hanging out. All we ask is the like button and subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Dustin Jacoby taking on Muhammad said -175 Jacoby, +150 is said, -170 for this fight to finish. Jacoby +160 inside the distance, said +250. But yeah, it looks like you're on the same page as me. Sheets is in our Discord, and he put out a couple things. Me and Sheets are completely different this week on who he liked. He liked Jacoby. I don't like Jacoby much. It's hard for me to justify just a striker at -175, 8,700 in a fight that's slightly favored to go the distance. I like said more for 1,200 cheaper in this one. Again, I need dogs on this card. That 1,200 goes a long way. I don't know, man. 8,700 just as a striker is pretty tough for me, but he's going to be low owned. And obviously Sheets is sharp. So maybe I'll get a little more Jacoby than I planned because of Sheets, but I'm on the said side in this fight for DFS at 9-0. What about you?
Yeah, I just don't want to pay $8,700 for a kickboxer in Jacoby. I think he's going to need a knockout at some point for him to be on the optimal lineup. I do think he's the better minute winner. He is the better striker. And Syed is a striker. It's just that Jacoby's pushing 40 years old. He's taking some damage, and Syed has some power. I think he could knock out Jacoby if Jacoby's playing with fire. So another thing I like is on DraftKings, his name is Saydov, so ends in a V. I like that. So I'm going to go with Saydov in this one, $7,500. I still like Bonfim more for $100 more just because I am more confident in his abilities, and I think he would score well in any win. I think Syed could score like 50, 60 points in a win if he's not getting a knockout, if it's just a striking match or he's landing a takedown or two throughout the 15 minutes. And maybe he's getting a shitty Abu Dhabi judging, but I'm just not looking to pay $8,700 for Jacoby. So on a card, I'm definitely going to be limiting my lineups. I'm going to X out Jacoby. I just don't see me going there. With 150, there's no way I would X him out. He does score more than 100, quite a bit, I think. But I would just rather get up to a lot of other favorites, and we'll be talking about one in the next fight for $100 more that I would rather have than Jacoby. So for me, Saydov or pass.
Yeah, for Jacoby, it's one of those spots like, yeah, I'm in agreement. If I'm playing very few teams, hand building, I'm not putting him in. The larger the tournament, though, that's when I get to like, all right, his round one prop, +425, +425, 19%. If I knew he's getting a round one knockout, I would definitely want him. It's not guaranteed to be optimal, but at his ownership, I do think he probably comes in lower than 19% owned. So that's one way to look at it. And then that's why you will see the best players pretty much play all fighters unless there's a really, really big underdog. If they're playing 150, they are getting some exposure to everyone because there is a percentage that each fighter does win. Even when you're +700 is 12.5% chance to win. So that's why people play stuff like that. So I would probably be around cap my Jacoby exposure at the round one ownership of 19%, but I probably will come in lower owned than that since, yeah, 8,700 for a kickboxer. No, thank you on this card. And yeah, we're going to the next fight, who I do think will be more popular. So Jacoby would be a pivot, but it is Valter Walker and Thomas Petersen. -185 Walker, +160 is Petersen. -170 for this fight to finish. Walker +105 inside the distance. Petersen +375. I mean, is Valter Walker going to make it 5 straight heel hooks? Like, that's really the only question.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, I just think heel hooks are hard to deal with for heavyweights who are not used to training that sort of game. But this is another tricky one because I do think Petersen is our better minute winner. I think he's our better overall striker, and I think he could be the better offensive wrestler. But Walker only needs one takedown, and it's over shortly after. I just don't think Petersen will be able to deal with it. So I'm going to keep picking Walker until he faces a real grappler who would know how to deal with something like that. And I feel like 70% of the heavyweight division won't know how to do it. So give me Walker, round one heel hook. I would rather – I mean, at $8,800, I want to be pretty high on Walker just for that round one equity. If he doesn't get a round one heel hook, I don't think he's on the optimal lineup, but – that's got to be his most likely path to victory.
Yeah, I don't know. More than likely, I'll probably come in underweight if he does get steam, like I think he might. And again, everyone's ownership is going to be in check with 13 fights. But so it opened minus 200 Walker. 2 minutes later was minus 350 Walker. Then ever since then, money's been coming in on the Petersen side at minus 185 plus 160 now. When it's on the feet, like I want Petersen, I think. He can at least back you up, use his jab. Petersen can get his own takedowns. Now, I do think that might be a mistake, but this whole camp, that's all he's had to train for is how to avoid that position. Now, if it does get to the mat and Walker finds his way to his ankle and stuff, yeah, I mean, he's going to take it, and Walker's going to win. With all that being said, though, Valter can get a first-round submission and not get one takedown or anything and just score like 92 DK points. That's not going to work at 8,800, so he has to get offensive takedowns, as you can see on the stone. Both of them can. But, man, the fight's minus 170 to finish. It opened minus 150, so money's going that way. But over 1.5 is still favored at minus 155. Like, Walker's third-round submission, more than likely, isn't enough if he does get it that way. And the longer it goes, I'm not sure it benefits him. So I actually like Thomas Petersen as my preferred play. But, again, a lot of it comes back to he's $1,400 cheaper. He's in the 7Ks, and I need 7K fighters. Petersen, Syed, Bonfim, Mike Davis, these are the guys you're looking at for me. I prefer more of that like in the middle 7Ks than I do the complete punts on this card. Next fight on the card, we have Abubakar Vagaev taking on Saygid Magomed. We're going to go with Vagaev minus 235 and Saygid plus 200. Plus 140 for this fight to finish. Individual props, again, these aren't even out at all books, but we have Zakimayev plus 330 and Vagaev plus 380. I'm going to send it to you on this because I do not want to keep saying these dudes' names.
Yeah, this is one I started with 4-star, moved it down to 3-star because I was thinking it was the other two names I can't pronounce 2 fights later. But this one I think is – I really don't have as much interest because it is supposed to go the distance. Magomed or whatever it is, he really relies on takedowns and a heavy top control game. So if he wins, I think he's going to score okay, but I just don't think that he is a good enough fighter to win 3 rounds that way in the UFC. I think Vagaev is the better overall fighter. He has a wrestling game too, but I think he's the better striker. He's also, I believe, 19-1 in decisions, and this fight's supposed to go to a decision. So give me the guy, 19-1 in decisions. I just don't really feel good about his $8,900 price tag. I'd rather go down 100 more to Walker. So I don't think I'll be getting too much on DraftKings. I might move this down to a 2-star once I make my lineups. But they both end in Vs. You never know with these guys. And I don't even remember very much tape from Sunday on these guys. So I'll have to do a little bit more research, kind of refresh my memory. But I think this is a fight to fade with Vagaev being my pick to win.
Yeah, I see it the same. I think this is more of a fade fight as well. The second most likely to go the distance on the card. Vagaev, 19. Let me make sure I got this right. 19 of his 24 wins have come by decision. 3 of his 4 losses by KO. On the other side, for Saygid, 13 of his 22 wins by submission. He's finished 16 of them. So at least he does a little more. But, man, this Vagaev, dude, I just think he's better wherever the fight goes. If he wants to wrestle, he probably can. I think Saygid's good, too. I think it was a high-level fight, but usually not usually. Sometimes high-level fights don't translate to good scores for DFS. And I do think, again, with this fight plus 140 to finish, that's probably the case. So I don't plan on having too much. If I have to pick a preferred play, I'm going to go with Saygid because, again, he's 7,300. We need dogs on this card. 55 in a win could be enough there, whereas Vagaev needs a good score. What's up, Modified? Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Next fight on the card, Rizvan Kuniev taking on Tyrell Fortune. Kuniev minus 335. Fortune plus 275. Minus 115 for this fight to finish. Kuniev plus 145 inside the distance. Fortune plus 450. Kuniev in round 1 plus 350. Kind of talking about fights that we didn't love too much. I think I can group this one in here. It's a heavyweight fight, so I'm not going to exit out, but man, Kuniev fights have been pretty boring so far. I think Fortune doesn't have success wrestling. I think Kuniev can probably push him up, use his big body against the fence, grind out wins, get a unanimous decision, go home, not hurt with extra money in his pocket, but not if you are playing him in DFS. I don't love it. It's heavyweights though, so I don't know. I doubt I exit out, but I don't want too much. What do you think?
Yeah, I just moved it down to a 2-star actually because, I mean, plus 350 in round 1 for Kuniev, not really good at 9K. And I think that would be his most optimal path would be a first-round knockout. Fortune is the better wrestler. I think better offensive wrestler. He's got some boxing too. But Kuniev is hard to take down. I mean, he just faced Blades and Jailton Almeida, who I think are both better wrestlers than Fortune. And I think Kuniev is the better striker in this one. I do think he can cage, push as well, and really just slow this fight down, tire Fortune out, and just win the fight on the feet. So give me Kuniev to win, but I feel like he's not even going to score 10x in this fight. It might be another 70-point type of win for Kuniev, and if that's the case, then this is an easy fade all around. So, yeah, I moved it down to 2-star, and I think it is like my second, maybe third least favorite fight on the card.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. All right, we'll keep it rolling. 4 fights left. We got Magomed Zainikov minus 275 taking on Damian Rizepki plus 235. Minus 115 for this fight to finish. Zainikov plus 150 inside the distance. Rizepki plus 425. I mean, I'm glad these fights are back-to-back because it's right in the same price range as that fight we just talked about. I do prefer this fight definitely to the Kuniev fight, but very similar, both minus 115 to finish. Somebody has to go. 8-0 Zainikov, 10-0 Rizepki. I think it's a solid fight. And on Tuesday, this fight was minus 288 Zainikov. He's now minus 275. He was all the way down to minus 400 though 5 days ago, and then he's slowly but surely Rizepki has taken some money. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is the other one where I just don't really remember these guys very well from when I did my film study on Sunday. But Zainikov was on the Dana White's Contender Series. He landed 235 significant strikes and 2 takedowns. I mean, any stats like that, I'm always going to be interested in. But when I was watching his other fights, he doesn't typically fight with that type of pace. So I don't think we can rely on it. But the fact that he did it and he was mixing in takedowns as well makes me always want to get a little bit of exposure to this guy. His name ends in a V. We're in Abu Dhabi. I mean, $9,200 isn't a crazy price, but I just think there's a lot of ways this fight could go, and I don't love to pay that price on him. But I think for right now, it is going to be Zainikov or pass. I'm going to have to refresh myself on Rizepki. I put that I do think he's a pretty decent fighter everywhere, and it could be a close fight. But I just think that Zainikov is the better fighter, and he's going to be the one dictating where the fight takes place. So picked him to win. He is going to be my preferred play on DraftKings. But I just wouldn't expect that same pace that we saw on the Dana White's Contender Series.
Yeah, that pace was insane. I do think Rizepki, I have interest there, though. He's 24 years old, finished 9 of his 10 fights, 4 wins by knockout, 5 wins by sub. I think he's going to fight for the dollar at $7K, and I do not like many really, really cheapies. So Rizepki is definitely someone that I'm going to be interested in, and Zainikov as well. I mean, when you land over 200 significant strikes, that just shows that what kind of output you can throw, what your ceiling is in DFS. Do you think Zainikov wrestles at all in this one? Do you think Rizepki tries? How do you see it going that way?
Man, I don't. I'm gonna have to refresh myself just to see how I think this fight plays out. But I would think that Zainikov is the more likely wrestler, but either one of them could mix in takedowns.
For sure. All right, before we go to the next fight, got a couple left. Still to talk about, want to head over. This is our Ship It Nation homepage. As you can see at the top, our best deal right now. Usually $99 for the month for all the sports and Saber Sim and Discord. $49 now for the first month. You can just click this banner and it'll take you there. Bottom left, join the nation, though we do have multiple other deals if you want to give us a try. 5 days for $19. That'll get you PGA Showdown content, MLB, MMA, which again starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, and NASCAR. If you just want MMA, single sports, MMA, as you can see, $29 for the month, only $20 more to add SaberSim, and Discord is included for both of those. So we would love to have you. Definitely do get in the Discord if you join. And if not, again, we just appreciate you hanging out. Hope everybody out there is doing well. The like button helps us out a ton. 3 fights left. The biggest favorite on the card, actually tied for the biggest favorite, but the highest priced, Islam Duladov minus 1,000 taking on Wellington Turman plus 675. Minus 650 for this fight to finish. Duladov minus 400 inside the distance. Turman plus 650. Duladov in round 1 minus 225. So comparing him to Tuchalov from earlier, Tuchalov has a better inside the distance prop by 50 cents, but Duladov has a better round 1 prop by 50 cents. That's pretty interesting. I mean, just based on that and the round 1 prop, and for me not even knowing Wellington Turman was still in the UFC until I saw his name this week, like, yeah, I'm on Team Duladov if money wasn't a thing. I still think I prefer him more than Tuchalov. I don't know. It's not a strong take, but I just don't really – it's hard to pay $9,700 and $9,800 when you literally can get a quick win bonus. And I saw someone comment this last week or 2 weeks ago, like, you're going to need him when he gets a first quick win bonus. There was a card that I shipped with Armin Sarukian and 6 months ago or whatever. I forget who it was, but the guy did get a first minute bonus, scored like 127. The next highest score on the card was like 107, and he wasn't on the winner. Because again, we play a salary-based game. If there's not enough underdogs come through, it really doesn't matter what you score unless you're scoring like 150 plus. So yeah, I think it's hard to click 9,800 and 9,700. Definitely not clicking Wellington Turman.
Yeah, same. I'm going to X out Turman. I mean, all of his wins in the UFC, they're no longer in the UFC anymore. He hasn't fought in 3 years. I figured he was in another organization and came back, and then I looked at his record, and he just hasn't fought in 3 years. So I want nothing to do with Turman. I'm fine with Dulatov if you can pay $9,800. I'm pretty against $9,800 in general. But Dulatov, I do think he gets a round 1 knockout. He's a really good striker. I just think he overwhelms Turman, throws punches in bunches and knocks him out in the first round. Probably does score right around 110, 115. But I just don't know that 110, 115 is going to do it at $9,800 on a card where I'm not picking very many underdogs. I think I picked, like 2 underdogs on this card. So
Bonfim Davis?
Yeah, that's it. And when I was looking at it, Ursig was a slight underdog, but now he's a favorite for DraftKings, so that one doesn't even count. So yeah, I have 2 underdogs, and that's just not going to get me there.
Yeah, I only picked Syed and Petersen.
Oh, Syed, I picked him as well. Yeah, 3.
Is my only 2. Ankalaev, I think, is a little interesting, but yeah, it's really tough when it comes to dogs. Yeah, we're gonna get to the co-main event though. Coin flip fight, 8,200 AK. Actually, not even a coin flip anymore. As you can see on Tuesday, Temerov was the favorite. Let me just say from the top right now. So Temerov opened. Now it's lagging. Come on. Give me a sec, because I know there's been a decent amount of line movement in this one. Right now, it's Temerov minus 124, Steve Ursek plus 104. I'm not sure it's going to go. Plus 110 for this fight to finish. The big thing right here, Temerov plus 185 inside the distance, and Steve Ursek plus 415. So pretty much a coin flip fight, but Temerov is double the chance to get a finish than Urseg. And yeah, I don't know why this isn't showing. It's not showing me line movement, which is annoying, but for me, I don't love this fight because I think it goes the distance like it's favored to do so. Was plus 100 to finish, now plus 110, so money coming in on the over. But my preferred play, it's Temerov because he's plus 185 to finish and Urseg's plus 415. In wins, Urseg is going to score a lot less more times than not than Temerov when he wins is how I see it. This fight can still bust for sure, but Urseg, I'm questioning his chin, and Temerov throws bombs. I'm going to play some at 8K, and I don't like much Urseg. I know this is one that I'm different from our man Cheats, though. So, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just don't really care for the fight in general. I think Temerov has the higher ceiling because he's more powerful, throws heavy kicks, heavy overhands as well. I think he could knock out Ursig in round 1. And if that's the case, he's on the optimal lineup at 8K. But I also think that if he doesn't knock out Usyk in round 1, I think the momentum moves to Usyk's side. And I think he is the higher paced fighter, just a better overall fighter who could mix in takedowns, has a better grappling game. And I think he could win the second and the third rounds. So I picked Usyk to win on the cards. But if Usyk is winning the second and the third rounds and getting his hand raised for a decision, I just don't think he's on the optimal lineup. He could score 65 points. And at $8,200, really at any price, I'm pretty against 65 points. So I'm going to try to fade this fight. If I'm making my lineup and I have $8K or $8,200 for my last spot, I'd be okay with it. But I'm sure as hell not starting any lineup with either of these guys. And ideally, if I'm making, let's say 10 or less lineups, I would full fade this fight if I could.
Agree with you there. Yeah, like on the money line, if I had to bet this fight, I'm taking the plus 104 on Steve Usyk all day. But for DFS, again, he can win, and I still don't think he scores in most of his wins, or at least Temerov plus 185 inside the distance has upside in every round. He does throw it with a lot of power. All right, it's the main event. It was supposed to be Magomed Ankalaev taking on Khalil Roundtree. That would have been a lot more fun, in my opinion, than Magomed Ankalaev and Bogdan Guskov. But that's what we get this week. Minus 600 Ank, plus 425 Guskov, minus 400 for this fight to finish. Minus 235 minus 235 inside the distance for Ank, plus 475 for Guskov. Ank in round 1, plus 250. Oh, man, it's not popping up any of this line movements. I think I wrote it, though. Let's see. So it opened minus 300 Ankalaev, and now he's all the way up to minus 600. So that's quite a bit of line movement. Oh, I wrote up the last line movement, too. So Usyk opened plus 130, went to minus 155 shortly after, and then it's come back. So I knew there was quite a bit of line movement on that one. Wanted to circle back, but no buyback in this one. Ank minus 300, now minus 600. Money keeps coming in on him. He's $9,500 though. And as you can see on the stone, a notorious boring fighter. But with that being said, a former champ, in my opinion, should have been a two-time champ. I thought he beat Jan Blachowicz, but that's for another day. Guskov, I think, is outmatched pretty much wherever the fight goes. The question for me is, does Ankalaev score enough at 9,500 to be optimal? What do you think?
See, at first, I had this as a 5-star because I was thinking Ankalaev could knock him out in the first round. He could wrestle and just dominate this fight if he wants to. He has multiple ways to score 100-plus points in this fight, and I think this is all Ankalaev. I just think he's the better fighter everywhere if he doesn't get knocked out early. I really think like a first-round knockout's Guskov's only path to victory, maybe second round as well, but he is taking this fight on short notice. It is in Abu Dhabi. The crowd's going to be up behind Ankalaev, and I just think he's the better overall fighter. But I moved it down to a 4-star because I was looking at his fight log, and he hasn't scored 100 points in the last 10 fights. So
terrible.
I was like, golly, I'm not trying to pay $9,500 for that. I mean, he could get a second-round win and score 80 points. So it made me move it down to a 4-star. I might even move it down to a 3-star and just try to get away from the main event ownership. And if that helps me get up to like Dulatov or Tuchalov, then that would make me feel better. But I just don't know how I would be able to do that without getting different than other people. Like if they all play the same 3 dogs as me, we're just going to end up with the same lineup. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do on this fight. I was originally leaning Ankalaev or pass, but the more I think about it, the more I really don't want Ankalaev in my lineup either. So I am going to pick him to win. He could win by any method, but if you want a decision, it could be a real boring decision, like 70-something points from him. So maybe not a play I'm looking to get to. And I think Guskov, just being in a main event, his ownership will be higher than I want to get to. So I'm going to X him out. I'm just going to try and find other ways to get different on this card with my underdogs. And as I mentioned, maybe Ponzinibbio would be a real sneaky way for me to do it. I don't feel good about him winning either, but at half the ownership than Guskov, that's just something I would rather go to. And at the same thing, like maybe a Hussein over Ankalaev, I think his ownership could be lower than an Ankalaev, so that could be a move I'm willing to make as well and leave the $200 on the salary, or even go down to Walker and leave that $700 on the salary. So yeah, the more I think about it, I'll probably want to try and get away from this fight and just hope Ankalaev wins and doesn't hit 100 again.
Yeah, I prefer Hussein and Sam Patterson for sure for 100 less. 200 less. Probably they're going to be less owned, especially Patterson. Ank just doesn't score. But I don't like Guskov, and I like your thought. If you're playing 5-6 teams, something like that, to play no Guskov, because I do think he gets a little more steam than he otherwise would with it being a 5-round fight. And obviously it's not even favored to go to the 5 rounds. And that's kind of the thing with Ankalaev too. He's going to just naturally get main event steam because it's 5 rounds, but the fight's not even supposed to go 5 rounds. Over 1.5, over 2.5 is plus money. So the fight's supposed to finish before 3 rounds. So you're paying ownership premium for pretty much nothing. And if it does go late, more than likely it's not enough. Plus 250 in round 1. Even if he does get it, a round 1 finish, like 103 might not be enough. I like Ankalaev in terms of I picked him a lot. He continued to win for me. But for DFS, he's just not someone I want to click on very much, especially at 9,500 and an ownership premium in the main event. So I plan on being underweight the main events and hoping it soaks up ownership. I mean, it will soak up ownership, but ideally Ankalaev is like 35% plus. Guskov is 18% plus. I'm not quite sure. Maybe they're right around there, but I do think because there's 13 fights, a lot of other big favorites that people kind of catch on, game log watch, and it doesn't go too crazy in terms of ownership. Marquis, I got mine. I'll let Big Marley answer first. Great question, though. Again, no 5-star fights on this one. I don't think there's an obvious answer.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a no 5-star fight card before. And I was really struggling as I was looking at that question, but I think mine is going to be the same answer as yours. Give me Bonfim and Sola as my favorite fight to target.
Yep, that's mine as well. I mean, 8,600, 7,600 leaves a lot more outs for them both to get there as well. The under's taking money, and yeah, I mean, I think it's a high-paced fight. They're going to fight for your dollar. Probably fight of the night if I had to pick one as well, so I will go with that one as well. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. Always love talking fights with you. And yeah, from the top, I hope people didn't just listen to the first 20 seconds when I said noon Eastern start time and head out. They're missing lock. It's 9 a.m. Eastern. I was thinking my time. I just got it wrong, period. So it's going to be 6 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Make sure to get your teams in Saturday morning, Friday night, whenever it may be. All of our content will be up tomorrow. Projections, ownership, Slate Station, which gets you the slate plan, the tier rankings, all that good stuff. And Big Marley's fight rankings, all of this will be color coordinated and filled out as well. Final thoughts, Big Marley.
Yeah, man, tricky card. Definitely, if you're in the Discord, I'll maybe post some stuff in there. Check out my fight rankings. Things could change for sure. And once I start building my lineups, I'll have a better feeling for things as well. So I might move around a lot of these fight rankings. I need to refresh my memory on a couple of these guys, but I think it could be a fun and tricky card. So hopefully it's a good way to start our Saturday. Good luck to you, Title. Good luck to everybody listening. Let's ship it.
I'm always loving some morning violence. Get up. Hope to see that bank account a little higher in the mid-afternoon when it's all said and done. Hey, next thing you know, we're going to be parlaying these MMA Saturdays, the football Sundays. I'm not going to get there yet, though. It's going to be a lot of fun, just a little longer. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Hope you guys and gals have a great weekend. Do us a favor. Like button on the way out, subscribe button. Head over to shippingnation.com. That'll do it for us. For Big Marley, I'm Title Town. Good luck. Be safe. Peace.